Okie dokie. Here we go. Here we go. Okie dokie. Get my computer up here. Cool. Alright, keep that like right over here. Okay. A little bit of here. Okay, cool. So, what are we working on? Long story short is, hopefully we finish the game today. I know there's two outstanding bugs. Number one, do we need to keep track of score? Don't think so. Music. The music dipping down after certain letters are pressed. Research direct. Modification. Let's see exactly where we're at. Here I am. So excited. I was like, damn, man, looks like we're almost done. Of course, there's a problem at M. So we'll say if counter. So number one, let me just clarify exactly where the counter is. Process function, so we should get that value updated. Let's make this. Yep. Damn it. I was hoping I would see the end value, but it did not. My way after that, so let me redo this. But what was it? Oh, well, I know that. Okay, so once if P1 letter counter value is the tug of war never changes is a really, really good reference. Michael, really, really good reference. And I wish I could elaborate that in a cool way, but 13, okay. War never changes. Or no, that amazing voice. Tug of war never changes. And then insert great monologue by amazing actor who I don't know. Great reference, stellar reference. Okay, so we'll put that there. And Tug of War. How's it going, Michael? How's your day going? Night, whatever time zone. I have such good references, but they never get me the job. That's also a really good joke. These are good dad jokes. Well, I mean, I don't know if the first joke is per se a dad joke, but that's a solid joke. It makes me think you're like a comedian. I was gonna say funny guy, but I'm like, I think a comedian. That's the appropriate title. Those are solid jokes. Solid jokes. I have good references, but I never get the job. Boom. Username, that's good. What up? Going well. Hopefully we actually get to finish the game today, but we'll see. How is your development and your, I guess, childhood? Young adulthood? Yeah, you're still in school. So yeah, young adulthood? Almost adulthood? I'll cancel this out. Once we go over to P2, replicate the function, which will be game over. This will just increase if P1 letter counter is greater than or equal to 13, then stellar jokes, Michael. Trying to see if there's type up this one because it's so good. I've been lazy, so nothing has changed much, but I did fix my sliding issue. Now I have head bobbing in my FPS controller. Okay, well, that's cool. That's a cool change, and I get it. I get those lazier moments. This should actually be a part of the game over function rather than. Oh, I have custom. I don't think I necessarily needed to make these custom. They ultimately go into location, right? Take this out. Bobbing is cool. One of my favorite things from Far Cry and from Far Cry is the like head bobbing while you're sprinting, and then the in Last of Us, like the heaviness of what they do with the controllers and animations, huge. I remember playing Last of Us for the first time, and I was like, what they're doing with animation and the camera is really selling the motion. I love that. I think for my first game, I'm going to try to make a boomer shooter. Yeah, I mean, that's a relatively simple method, or a relatively simple game template, and you can, have fun with it. Especially since it's going to be your boomer shooter, you can have weird things in it, whatever you want, really. And if you have no intention of selling it, which, I mean, it's your first game, so I would argue you shouldn't. But what do I know, honestly? Take this out. Let's just say game over. And this is one of these are gonna, right? It should be game over, game over. This one out. Okay. Keep that one. Well, actually, no. I think that works fine for player 2. So maybe it shouldn't even be a game over state. It should. This works fine for player 2. That's what we'll do. Make it simple, so we can move on. Oh. Damn it! Why does it stay at R? One thing at a time. All right. Was hoping this whole thing worked, but since this is being an ass, we'll go over to. By the way, I don't think I got your friend. Really? Shoot me it again on something. I could just share my Discord. Not famous enough to concern myself with like sharing this. Share anybody else's. What am I thinking? I think it was here, right? No. Out of front. And let me pull this up. I know you sent it to me in Twitch. Okay, so the thing you sent me isn't right. To some extent, something's off. Does it not have underscores? Maybe that's what I'm missing. A username that is stupid. Yeah. Maybe equalization? No underscores. Name. Looks like a negatory. A username that is good. Is something stupid wrong? No. Huh. I don't know. Yeah, maybe you know, try to private message to me, and then and then the number. Okay. Yeah, that didn't work either. I have it with no spaces, hashtag 0149, nothing. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know what it is. Let me show it real quick. Well, there's more people in here, so maybe I won't. Before it was just like me, you, and Michael, and I was like, all right, cool. But just in case. I mean, whisper it to you in. Isn't that the print button? I could have sworn this was oops. Alright, now it's being an ass about it. Alright, we'll work on this later for sure. I don't know why it's being an ass. I really don't. Be straightforward, but okay, where were we? Game over. If player 1 letter counter or player 2 level counter is... Oh, right, because I think they're not even exactly. Although there are 26 letters in the alphabet, so 1313 should work. Right? I guess we'll, in the update letter, the score. Before it goes through any of that, run game over. Thing for this one. Okay, and then let's see. Let's see. Why would it do that? It didn't meet the condition. For damn sure, it didn't meet the condition. Even if it runs earlier, game over function should check if player 1 counter or player 2 counter is greater than or equal to 13. Then do that. Maybe if I just say equal to 13. I don't know why greater than would be an issue. I got it's this name is this name is stupid. Gotcha. Okay. I can do that. I can do that. This name is stupid. 014. Okay, now it said it was sent. Oof. Okay. Yeah, let's set it equal. I'll be able to add that to. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Cool. You're still in high school, right? Is there a particular thing you're trying to do after high school? Really interested to see where the next generation's head is at. Not that you are largely representative of your entire generation, that would be insane. But just to get a feel for it. No? Did you know? Because with AI and all these different things, I'm like, what are kids thinking about as far as education goes? After high school, I think I might get into a trade school for coding or something like that. Or anything like that. Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. I personally wish I didn't go into college. I mean, granted, it did help me land the job I have now. Not because my degree had any relevance over what I do now, just because the person that hired me is an old white dude who was like, if you went to college, that means that you're a good egg, and I can trust you and hire you because you went into education. Silly, archaic way of thinking, but you know, old hiring managers. I mean, you gotta work with that. Why once it equals 1? Why would it do it when it equals 1? Maybe I just need to change the place. Maybe if I change it here. After the letter counter goes up. I don't know why it would start so early. It doesn't make any sense to me. You know what? I'm gonna remove it. I know you're technically a function for every action that you're supposed to do, right? Like that's good programming principle, but just being annoying. Originally had it in the update. They keep it there? Oh, it's broken for player 2 anyway. Where would we want to measure? Is there a particular thing that you wanted to code or work on? The only reason I asked this stuff is because, again, I'm trying to understand what you want to work on to see if maybe college is or is not the best route. Of course, you're going to have a bunch of people telling you stuff and they don't know what they're talking about, including me, but I just wish, like, because if I had listened to my heart fully, I would have just worked a full-time job that paid the bills and focused on game development wholeheartedly. Obviously, to have a kid and things like that change, but I'm a bit interested in doing web dev. I question the, I don't know. Again, do your research 100%. But I don't know the future of web development. I say that as somebody that used to sell websites that I would make for people. You know, with I mean, WordPress, it became easier, and then with what is it, Squarespace, and so many different things make it so easy to make websites that I don't know. I mean, web applications, absolutely. Websites, I don't know. But I guess web development falls under web applications, so that could work, yeah. But yeah, game dev, for sure. Especially since you're so young, going heavy into it. If you can avoid, obviously you're a human being, so you're gonna have off days, 100%. But if you can avoid having off days or having day like 0% days where you don't work on the game or game development at all, you're gonna, by the time you're 20, I don't know, let's say 24, you'll be an amazing developer. So we want to check it. The player scores, we increase the letter counter, we change which letter is being presented. So in the case that we score, the final letter, we would not increase the score anymore, nor would we increase the letter count. So I guess we'll check at the, I think if we can do this, if I just heard about indie developer that did super well recently. Solo developer did amazingly well. I want to say $20 million in sales. See if they're still on the front page. Let's see. I know this did really well, but that's not what I'm thinking about. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. Yep. $62,000 reviews, very positive, made by a single developer, and I think that they're rocking either 10 or $20 million in sales. That's incredible. Really well done. Kudos to them. Reasonably priced. They even offer a little bundle here. They did such a good job with this. I was reading about it the other day, and I was like, wow. Was that the person who made Lethal? I don't think so. I'm 90% sure now. Looks like this is their only release. And it's a very simple game. Not even a game I would per se play, but it did really well. Or is doing, I guess, really well. I mean, the only two games they came out with was the prologue, which is essentially the demo of the game, and then this one. No other releases under their belt. The about? Nothing. truly just worked on this. It's incredible. It was made a big buck or two, also having a singular dev. I don't even think I've heard of Lethal Company. I know this was recently in the news, game dev news. That's why I was like enamored with the story, because I was like, one person made this and they're raking in. I mean, even if after Steam's cut, they have at least $3 million in sales of net profit after Steam's cut. I don't think I've heard of this. I think you mentioned this one to me before. Is this co-op? Yeah, I've seen this game. I've seen people play this game online. Obviously, as a dev, that's one of the things you do is like see, or something that you gain an eye for is like how are other people like viewing this game, and in particular because we're on Twitch right now, so how are people watching this game, and do they enjoy playing it together, and do audiences enjoy watching people play it? And this was one of those games that same thing. Oh, this was released a while ago. This is 2 years ago. Lethal Company 2 years ago. Again, also very well rated. Is it indeed a solo dev? That seems crazy for a solo dev. Title upon title under their belt. Trying to get to developer page. Looks like I can. Oh, nothing. Lethal Company, which earned over $100 million gross. Oh my god, that's incredible. Released a total of 20 games, counting. There's the importance again of making a plethora of games. Like, usually it's never like their first game and it's amazing. It's usually like their 7th or something like that. Made big bucks, yeah. 100 million or 100 million is crazy. Yeah, singular developer. They make games on roadblocks, and I guess this too. Kudos. Incredible. Kudos to them, man. Very inspiring to see. And that's ultimately what most of us want, right? To be able to make something great that people really enjoy, and then we can hopefully make a living from. The update player one letter function runs before the other one. Why? Update player P1 letter. Update P1. Give me 1 second, guys. 1 second, I will be right. Okie dokie. Okay. So sorry about that. Kiddo. So where we were is A, talking about how inspiring indie developers who make Buko Bucks is. Incredible. And that developer that we were just checking out is Seekers, who made a bunch of games on Roblox and a bunch of games on Steam. Well, I'll say a couple games on. I mean, it's more than me, by any means. So theoretically, they made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before their big hit. Not even counting the roadblocks games they made. It says October this year, which means it hasn't come out yet, but it's available. Or will come out. Next game. Just out of curiosity, check out musical. Oh. Super pixelated shader. Interesting how lighting and a shader can just make such a huge difference. BB code with the text shaking. Interesting. This is like going old school with like a choose your own adventure thing. Angle to it. Into the dark. Cool. Kudos to them for being experimental. I think it would be really easy to go back to your previous hit and be like, we're gonna create a game like this. But I mean, I guess they kept the creepy angle to it, but you know, dramatically different. Dramatically different. I want to be able to watch the Undertale stream. How did you like it? Oh, I wasn't able to watch. Gotcha. The Undertale. Undertale is great. Undertale is really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Very cool, interesting way to go about combat and narrative. And the fact that all of it's basically cased in an if-then loop is incredible. Really, really good. And I think it's really cool and creative. I do plan on playing it again on Thursday, as long as nothing weird happens. One thing that I did find interesting about it is like, while I do enjoy it and it is interesting and compelling as far as the creepiness and the story that they have about it and how you go about combat being like these interesting little mini games that are relatively simple, really cool. But I don't think I would finish the game, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think the game loop is that enjoyable for me to finish the game, but I find it really, really interesting. And the interestingness of it may be what leads me to finish it. But yeah, it's really good. They do a lot with a little as far as the color palette goes, graphics goes, and again, overall combat is basic. You know, vector movement. It's like an obstacle avoid game in between the combat. So rather than the straight attack, you attack me, attack, you attack me, it's can you avoid obstacles for a set duration of time, and then after that set duration of time, you are able to successfully land a hit. So it's really interesting, and again showcases the importance of getting a really good game loop and simplicity, which is what I'm really trying to think about with Project Kill Toy. Just making it as simple as possible. How far did I didn't get far. I got to the point. Excuse me. Yeah, I didn't get far. I got to the point where the mother-like figure, the cow, I defeated her, and then I moved on to the next area, but I don't remember what I was doing in the next area. That was the last like big plot point, is me defeating her being like, oh, why you do this? I just wanted to protect you. And then the sunflower being creepy and being like, you can't trust anybody. Yeah. One about the story. So yeah, I really found it interesting. It's just overall interesting, and as somebody that wants to be primarily a video game director, the way that they went about the writing and everything like that, really good. Really, really good. Update player. So this code has to pour up. Damn it. Why does it skip that? Why does it skip that bit of logic? Oh, that's why I guess I put it in the original update player, because for whatever reason, even though the sequence is run all of this, and then the next thing that it should run is this before you update the player, this is what should happen. But maybe update player has some parts in it that are... No, it doesn't. Oh, 62, 92. I didn't even, that was oddly enough not even something, and shame on me, truly, because I've heard great things about the score of it, like the soundtrack, but I didn't heavily pay attention to that. It may have also been a factor of me doing it or playing it when I was super tired, but I did not pay attention. Oh, there's a sequel to it? I don't think there is a sequel to Undertale. I think I would have heard about that, but let me... Let's see. Maybe it's just the next game that they produced. Very well could be wrong. Let's check. Undertale. Here's Toby Fox. Coming soon. I mean, it's the same art style, but let's see. Does this read as a sequel? I mean, pretty dead on if it's a sequel, but it could just be his art style. Oh. Oh. Chapter 2. Yeah, it has to be. It has to be a sequel. Chapter 2, and the only other game that he made was Undertale. Oh, and there's a demo out already. Wow, look at that. Kudos to him. Yeah, it looks like he just expanded on it. For sure. For sure, a sequel. Like he expanded on it and just have a party play. Classic Final Fantasy type. And it even has the heart as the same thing. Yeah. I don't know if I'll get... I mean, not that I'm monetized in general, but I don't know if my video will be flagged if I play that music. Let me look that up before I type it in. I'm more than willing to listen. I just don't know if they're gonna flag me if I do it right now. So in the worst case scenario, like mute my video on YouTube. Put it. Nope. Now this whole thing's muted. Okay, it says yes. I mean, I quickly typed this into AI because I didn't have the patience, or not the patience. I didn't think it would be enjoyable to sit through and have me thoroughly vet this, but I will. A dummy theme. Tail. Saw some article saying it's copyright free. Okay, well, great. Kudos to Toby Fox then for making it copyright free, so people could listen to it while they stream. Damn it. It reminds me of jazz. Like it's a very cool, chaotic vibe while staying like upbeat, but it has that same Undertale like energy of like it being off, like a little disturbing, but not fully disturbing. Like it was fun and jovial, and but it was also jumbled and disharmonious, if you will. Reminds me of like purposeful disharmony within notes, like if you're playing the piano. Um, and then again, it had that like quick tempo jazz type of style. That was really cool, and also really cool to know I could listen to um, listen to the entire gives me poker vibes. I've never um the only time I've ever played poker is in Red Dead Redemption 2. Um but 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 yeah, that's my only experience really with poker. When I turned 18 or is it 21? One or the other. When I became legal to be able to gamble, I just did not really care for it. Um, to each his own. Ultimately, I think craps is fun. I like craps, especially since I don't know the rules. Really, it's just a fun game. Um, but poker vibes. Poker vibes in what way? I played it with my cousin during COVID for toilet paper. It's hilarious. That is hilarious. Playing for toilet paper is very COVID behavior. Um, in what way does it remind you of poker? Is it like this? Yeah, just to get your perspective of it, because again, my only experience is from Red Dead Redemption 2. That was the only time I really played it, and then the only reason I did that is because there was an achievement for like I don't remember how many games in a row to win poker. But yeah. Which, I mean, there is a thinking element to poker, but there's also just plain luck, because I mean gambling. But yeah. Why does it remind you of poker? Curiosity question. Since this function keeps running anyway, even though we've changed the sequence over and over again, this is not working. So what we're gonna do, take this out of here, put in this function, since it's gonna run this function anyway. And then as a precursor to this function, we'll have this. We'll say elif, or if this, then this. See how that works? I just feel like in a smoky casino, this would play by a jazz band. In a movie, sure. I mean, like, it's a cool, like, I love the imagery of it. As somebody that has gone to casinos before, casinos are not, or at least maybe I just haven't been to the right casino, right? Maybe if I go to Vegas, it'll be exactly that vibe. But I've been to 2 casinos in my life, 3 casinos in my life because of a bachelor party, and it's just not. I don't know what the big deal is. I don't know why people enjoy it so much. I wish. I mean, not really, because I don't like losing money, but I just wish I got enamored with it in the same way. Like, if they were playing cool jazz and things like that, and it felt like a big casino, like a mafia movie type, if that felt like the vibe of the casino, I think I could see myself getting into it. But I did not. What is on my face? All right. Okay. Cool. We're just gonna have to repeat the same thing. I never finished Undertale myself because of the final boss being way too damn hard. Gotcha. I'm a big I really love difficult games because I love all From Software games that are notoriously difficult. But that being said, I think I only finished Bloodborne. That's the only game I actually finished from Soft. Um, but yeah, I love difficult games because I'm a person that buys like 2 games a year, and then I'll buy a couple indie games just to support. But I don't buy many games. So I rage quit and deleted my saves. Mistakes were made. Yeah, for sure. I get that though. I've been in that same spot of like, fuck it, I'm never gonna play this game again. And then I'm like, oh damn, kind of want to play that game, but now I have to start all over, and that's such a pain in the ass, especially if it was relatively recent. The Undertale soundtrack is copyrighted, so listening to it on Twitch depends on how it's used. Toby Fox, the creator of Undertale, allows for non-commercial use of the soundtrack, meaning you can enjoy it during streams as long as you are not monetizing the content. However, even for non-commercial use, you might encounter automatic copyright claims. Yeah, that's exactly what I was afraid of. Okay, because I was gonna listen to more of the thing, but again, I've had it happen before where when I upload this VOD to YouTube blots out the whole thing where you can't. There's no audio whatsoever, making that recording essentially useless because it's just me working on a game or whatever with no audio. Unfortunate. I wanted to listen to more of it, but it is indeed copyrighted. Oh, what? Dude. That's a Thursday thing, but one of my favorite YouTube channels, Skill Up, got hands on with what we talked about, I think a week or two ago, which is the new Doom game that takes place in the fantasy setting. So it's a very different Doom. I can't wait to listen to this, but this seems like Thursday content. This just came out, of course it did. Yeah, I can't wait. Okay, I can't wait to listen to that video, but that seems like a Thursday thing. I put on more music. I can't do that without copyright, unfortunately. Because even if Toby doesn't do it, they could just flag it anyway. Which is why I'm very grateful for the Heartbound team, allowing, you know, Thor and all them allowing you to be able to play their music on Twitch without getting a fucking slapped with copyright. So that worked for player 1. I have that in the update function. Same thing. Oops. Here. And then we'll probably insert animation and splash page question mark should show that P2 1. Okay. Here we go. Good. Player 1 works. Player 2. Okay, player 2 gets stuck after R. So the animation counter, for whatever reason, stays. I got one problem with making a 3D game, and that's Blender. I'm not the greatest at making 3D models. Don't! Dude, don't. Fuck that. Like, unless you want to get good at making 3D models, there's literally no point in my opinion, right? If I'm talking to my younger self in high school who wants to be a game developer, I would say there's so many things for you to be good at in game development. Modeling is so low on the totem pole of skills. You don't need to do that. And again, unless you want to be really good at it or you need something really specific, I don't think it's worth your time. Just use assets. And then if anything, you can use these assets as a building block to start from. Come on. Right? Like, you don't really need to focus on that, in my opinion. There's so many different characters that you can take from Mixamo. And then if you want to change them up a bit, you can do so. But there's so many different free resources out there for you. It's really not worth your time to do it. The way I see it with game development, that there is somebody that loves to model. There's somebody that loves to model and rig characters. And unless you're of a similar passion, there's really no point. There's somebody that loves to do this. Let them do it. Let them make this cool character for you. And then you work with whatever asset they have. And then if it's like, again, doesn't work for what you want in the game ultimately, well, that's fine. You have a placeholder and then work with it later. Just because, again, there's so many different things to focus on with game development. to focus on modeling is a whole skill set. Like somebody's whole job is to make 3D models, and then you're gonna compete with that person? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Unless this is again something you want to do, but then you want to be a modeler, a programmer, a designer, a director. Like it's just too many roles. You're not going to be good at everything. Again, if you want to do this, I would say, go for it. But otherwise, there's people that have already, that love to do this, that have so many of the, and this is just Mixamo that offers all these different models. This is one site that has all of these models for free that you can use for your project. They all look pretty good. They all look pretty good. So, yeah, I don't think it's worth your time to learn how to model at all. If you really want to, absolutely follow your passion, follow your curiosity, 100%. If it's a roadblock for you where you're like, okay, I'm getting these mechanics in, but I can't move forward until I get the model, fucking grab something from here, slap it into your game. There's really no point. And then if enough people like it where they're like, oh, well, I want to make money on this, I don't want to just asset flip, and then you replace it. But until then, like, are you going to make something better than this? You could, but it'll take time. It'll take a lot of time to make something better than somebody that actually loves to do this. This is somebody's whole job, their whole passion is to make. And I see it on Instagram all the time where some people are really passionate about making video game music. Some people are really passionate about making models. Some people are really passionate about making different textures that go on these models. Like it's so many different passions. As a indie developer, where you want to make games and then eventually sell them by yourself, you gotta pick your battles. And I don't think that this is a battle you want to fight, in my opinion. Again, if this is something you're passionate about, go for it. Otherwise, there's so many free assets, Like just off of the assets I went through, you could have a knight game, a wrestling game, a zombie game, a cute chibi game. All of these as a template, and then just making small modifications here and there. As an indie developer, you cannot do everything. You gotta allocate something to other people that are just better and have more time than you. I mean, even I didn't make this shader. The shader's not mine. I mean, the keyboard is technically mine. These dogs aren't mine. I didn't grab these dogs. I didn't draw them. Grabbed them from asset store, applied a different type of rendering to that, changed how it was pixelated as per end null, slap a shader on, modified the animation. Perfectly good dog. Gotcha. Okay. I mean, again, if it's something that you're passionate about and that you want to go into with pixel art, absolutely go for it. And also keep in mind that you don't need to be stellar. You just need to be good. I mean, case in point, what you just showed me. Where was I? I closed it out already? Yeah, Toby Fox. This isn't incredible pixel art. It's good. Not incredible. Good. It's good. Better than I could do right now, for sure. But again, this is not incredible pixel art. What matters more than anything is the game, what the player is going to be doing over and over and over again, the gameplay loop. And then any type of story or motivation for the player, right? Gameplay first, then all the other stuff, in my opinion. but listen to somebody that sold many copies. But I mean, Toby Fox, has been years. It's about to come out. Was this October? I think he said. Not coming out soon. Undertale Parallel Project. Meet new and old characters in the tale, step closer to its end, chapter by chapter. Dodge bullets and non-violent RPG battle. So yeah, that was a very cool thing of like you can console your enemy, and that could work for certain enemies. Some enemies, like if you get rid of their buddy, then they become more passive and understanding. It's really cool. Try chapter 1 and 2 for free now. Interesting that it's a parallel story. So it's not even this happened before Undertale or after Undertale. This is happening at the same time as Undertale. That's cool. And again, the demo's out already. But yeah, Toby Fox, obviously legendary game developer, and relatively simple pixel art. He loves the monochromatic color scheme. Very simple colors. Very simple. I mean, this grass, arguably, like you would say, this grass doesn't look great, but it doesn't have to. Because the gameplay is great and the overall aesthetic is great. Like, it feels like a retro game, and I love that he kept that DNA of it. But yeah, if you're good at pixel art, awesome. I'm personally not good at anything aside from writing and programming. That's the only two things I'm good at. So I try to avoid anything I'm not good at. Just because I don't see the point. I used to be a person that was like, let me work on all my weaknesses. No, absolutely not. It's a complete waste of your time. If you're already skilled in pixel art or whatever you're already skilled in, just double down on that. Case in point, what is it? My most successful, quote unquote, successful game as far as analytics and views and plays is Anger Spreads, a game jam game that I made, and over the last 7 days, it's made 203 impressions, which is crazy. But yeah, this game is my best game for sure. It's not a tremendous game, but it's my best game, and I just learned my lesson. I was like, hey, I'm not good at art, so I'm gonna take the time to get really good art assets and put that in here. I'm good at writing, so it's a narratively driven game. And again, it's because I doubled down on my strengths. It's my best performing game. Look at it statistically. 323 plays over the last 7 days. 203 people have seen it. Out of published games, 6 views. Fair. It's a 1 hour game jam. It's very fair. What's another game? One on Earth. This was, I think, my first game. 1 comment, 12 plays, 77 views. Yeah, it's nowhere near. And I think that's also part of, because when you go onto this page, it's the only one of my games that has this little animation on it. And I saw that and I was like, I watched a game dev documentary, and it talked about the importance of a landing page. This is a horrible landing page, by the way. Not good. But with this small animation, and I saw like it did like 5% better, or is it, or 5 times better, I should say. 5 times better as far as viewership and everything like that. So yeah, again, this is just me taking all the lessons I learned and being like, I'm not a good artist, so I'm gonna get good art. But yeah, I'm doubling down on that. I gotta check that out sometime. Yeah, please do, please do. Again, the fact that it's, and again, I don't show those statistics to brag. I show those statistics to be like, you know, I'm not an amazing developer, and I still did. Where the hell? Dashboard? Yeah. I'm not an incredible developer, and it still did, as far as I'm concerned, pretty well. 2 collections. This is a page of collections where your games have been added. Okay. Well, evidently somebody put this under a collection. Under what collection? I don't know. How many people have viewed in the past week? 203. Right? Like, it's really great numbers overall. Total plays 323. That's amazing. Total views over 1,000. Amazing. And that's just from me doubling down on what I was good at. I know I'm good at writing, so I wrote a story. And it was a short story, but it was I think a good one. I can't wait for Project Kill Toy, because then I'll be able to write again, and I think it'll be really good. If I could get, you know, so many views and so many plays on a game that wasn't my best, I can't wait to see. And that's the thing with game development. Every time you make a new project, it's like so much better. Every single one is so much better than the other than your last project. I mean, even this game that is literally just made for my daughter, it's leagues above most of the games I've made. Aesthetically, everythingly, it looks better. It runs better. I think I already tested player 1. So yeah, all that to say, man, a username that's good. If you like it and you're passionate about it, go for it. If you're weak on it and you're like, man, I don't know, asset. Just drop an asset in there. No time to spend on. There's so many things you have to do as an indie developer. Stops at R. And I remember being like, well, I know art is really important, so let me just work on my pixel art. And there is validity to that, but like, I spent too much time on it. Time I did not need to spend on it. Because it's not my skill set. I don't need to get better at, me personally, I don't need to get better at pixel art, nor do I need to, I don't need to get better at it, nor do I want to get better at it. But if you want to get better at it, like you enjoy drawing and doing pixel art, then great, right? So it stops at R. P2 letter counter. Here's P2 letter counter. Animation counter goes up by 1. So you need to, and again, what's his name? And Noel, when he gets back, is gonna hopefully teach me some better methods. But the only way I know to debug is via print. I guess I should put the, before I forget, I'll put the my itch page on. I should put that in my automated message for stream. In that, say that to myself, because hopefully I'm reviewing this VOD right now, and I will do that. Do that, Jay. Take the beginning message that you get in your stream, plug in your itch.io page. Let's funnel some more views to anger spreads. Buy that game. Best game yet? All right. Yeah, you're so young, man. Like, you have so much time to make mistakes and learn from them, you know? I decided at, like, I know I have a card somewhere, but I think I decided at like 23 or 24, one or the other, that I was like, I'm just gonna keep doing game development until I'm successful. And I just like decided at that point, like it was like a done deal of like, I can suck for the next 20 years. I hope I don't. I really, really hope I don't. But either way, I'm not gonna stop until I become a successful game developer because I love game development so much. And then the parts that I don't love, hopefully I can hire a friend for, you know? You're great at pixel art, I would love to, you know, eventually hire you for pixel art. I know there's another woman I went to college with who now works for, what company does she work for? She works for... If you really want to... Digital Extremes, which is the team that does Warframe. But, you know, I'd love to hire her for something, you know? I just want to be able to hire and work with friends, really. I find game development to be a dream job of a creative person. Yeah, I mean, it really is a dream job. Now, the only kicker for most of us is that it's not a job, it's a business that we need to run. Marketing, like, you know, I had a game dev streamer watch or review one of my, or review my Twitch in general. It was like, these are the things that you need to do for your business. And initially it's like, oh, well, no, this isn't my business. Like, this is just something creatively I'm doing. But it's like, well, if you want to be a full-time game developer, you have to treat it like a business. And you're not doing appropriate marketing. You're not doing appropriate content creation. And, you know, I'm just overall, his words, you're overall not that good of a streamer. But that comes with time. So... yeah, I mean, game development is truly a dream, and that's why again, once I started it, once I got a ball to roll and avoid obstacles, which is just literally wow. If maybe it's not even here anymore. Yep, this is it. This is the very first. This is the very first game or very first video I watched on game development, and I got to, I think, this video. In this video, we create something. Yep, I got to this video, and I had my friends play the game, and I was like, this is it. This is all I want to do for the rest of my life, is make stuff like this. And that was me following a tutorial, not even coming up with my own creative ideas and figuring things out, which is the vast majority of game development. Vast majority of game development doesn't have a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. But yeah, I made this game with Brackies 8 years ago. Actually, sounds right. About 8 years ago, and been addicted ever since. Of course, I have my off days where I like don't want to work on a project and everything like that, but I love game development so much. Sometimes it doesn't love me back, but that's fine. Who does have off days? Who doesn't have off days? Yeah, no, I mean, everybody to a certain extent. Everybody to a certain extent, but I know the developers and streamers I really admire have been able to push through those days and just go through things even though they don't feel like it, and then they get to a certain point of being popular where they can take the day off and everybody's fully accepting of it, you know? I know for a fact if I take the next 2 days off of streaming, my viewership is going to suffer dramatically. So it's not something like the impact is deeper the lower you are on the totem pole, if you will. Yeah. Which I think we've talked about it before, but I'd love to have you stream your development and work on your stuff. That'd be awesome to see, especially since you're so young, man. Incredible. Again, I graduated college by the time I was like, oh, I want to do game development. Graduated college, and then like a year or two later, I found that out. You're in high school, and you know, it's awesome. Especially if you're able to start, you know, creating content and marketing yourself now. You know, maybe you'll get hired by an awesome team that you want to work on. You know, whatever that may be for you. My dream team to work for would be Supergiant Games. My dream company to work for. But I ultimately want to work for my. But if it's like, pick one, Supergiant Games, 100%. Oh, shoot. Hold on. I'll be right back. Yeah, everybody has off days. That's natural. Just trying to avoid that. I think how I got into game dev was because of my horrible sleep schedule that I tried to fix. Go into that story. So you were just on YouTube looking around, and then you stumbled upon a game dev video, and you were trying to be like, oh, this will make me sleep, and then it enthralled you, and you're like, wait, what? And then started making games. Well, I guess started game development because you haven't made a game yet. I believe that's correct. Looks like a bar. Stuck on R, and then it. Y, Z? There's Y and Z? A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Yeah, Y and Z should be in there. I don't know why I thought the alphabet ended at X. I feel like it should. I'm thinking, you know. I would try to fall asleep by writing down a story. That's interesting. A good 6 or 7 paragraph story about every other night. Interesting. Did that work for you, writing out stories, or was it like, this isn't working? And how did that lead to game development? Because writing is a completely different thing. Like I mean, I do enjoy writing. I truly do. Not that I get to do it much these days, but I love writing. But I've always associated writing and game development as two separate things. Of course, there is writing and game development, but what led to that? What was I'm trying to get to some sleep. I know I'll write a story to, like, I don't know, calm myself down or unwind, and then how did that lead to game development? Because I know some, I forgot the name of the author, but there was an author who wrote a really good book that I enjoyed, who had a similar thing where they where they were writing, and then they were like, oh, I want to make a video game, and then they researched video game development. They tried to make a game, and they were like, this isn't for me, and then they just became an author. I realized that I really like to make stories and also love playing games and smash the two together. And that's basically more or less where I came about it as well. Um, yeah. Okay, well that's great. Yeah. And now I like to make games. Well, yeah, it's really cool. Oh wait, have you published games? Have we talked about that? Um, 'Cause I would support. I'll play one of your games right now. Um, oh, okay, nope, no, okay, gotcha. Okay, because I was like, I'll support right now. I think it was Thomas. Yeah, Thomas, who played one of my games years ago. Um, and then immediately when he commented on my game, I was like, I'm gonna check out his games and support. So whenever you do release, let me know. I'll be happy to support, just as I supported with Thomas. One of my favorite games, actually, by Thomas, is Hold the Throne. It's relatively simple. He got a good amount of feedback from it. I hit myself. Hit myself again. Oh. You get the gist. It's a fun game. But yeah, whenever you get out to releasing games, let me know. I personally, I personally went the quote coward route and published on itch first. I mean, same thing for Thomas, and Thomas is a better developer than me, and they have released primarily on itch. The only reason I call it the quote coward route is because I went to a game dev conference near where I'm at, where just get a couple beers and talk to people that make board games and video games and all that type of stuff. And one of them, this is their second game, and they pushed it to Steam. Oh, which I should advertise. Wow. I think I wishlisted. So let me just shout them out because I would hate to. I think it's called Fifth. 5. No, is it not on my thing? They add. Oh shoot! I guess I didn't wish list their game. I could have sworn I did. Sorry, give me 1 second. Now I feel like an asshole. I told them I did, and I guess I did not. Just accidentally lied. Okay, here it is. Here it is. So at least I can shout them out on. Oh. But I met them at a local game dev conference, or meetup, I guess you could call it. And they are, there it is. That's in my wish. But yeah, they are releasing on, I think their goal is the end of this year. That will definitely be good while before I publish something. Well, I mean, I don't know. Ultimately, you know yourself better than anything. But I was able to complete a game within 2-3 months. My first game. It doesn't have to be perfect. There was this game dev quote I heard that really resonated with me, and that just got me through pushing out games even before they were like perfect, like Pong and Dong and What on Earth. Even Anger Spreads. Anger Spreads wasn't perfect, but if you wait for it was like something along the lines of if you wait for your game to be perfect to release, you're never gonna release. kind of have to sometimes release imperfect games. You learn so much from going from beginning of idea to all of the stress of making a game to pushing out on that platform. Even pushing out on a platform can be a hassle to learn how to appropriately export and things like that. But yeah, I mean, you know yourself 100%. I would just say it could happen sooner than you think. Did I say how long this took me? It was my first game. Wow, TikTok. I don't even remember using TikTok. Oh well, good for me. I was just gonna donate during during COVID. I don't think I got any money from the game, right? First game. 12 plays, which is more generous than it deserves. I appreciate it, 100%. Did I release money? Did I release this game? Hold on. Now I'm thinking, because I'm like, did I release Money Sacker, and why didn't I release my code execution cannot be processed because Unity player deal. Oh well, I don't have a Unity player. All right, whatever. Guess that's why I didn't release it. I can get other people. I mean, most people are gonna have the DLL for Unity on their computers unless they're developers. Anywhoosies. This is all me. It says one play, one play. It's like me. You shouldn't count me. Oh, this is a better look at. Most successful game, second most successful game is my first game, which also makes sense because I took it down a lot of games. So that's fair. Dong Alpha was not good. 1 hour game jam is not good. Pong is Pong. It doesn't deserve much credit. Anyway, all of that to say, you could release sooner than you think, and be sure to wishlist the 5th Cataclysm by Offline Digital LLC. Again, I met this guy. He's super cool, super friendly, and was more than willing to give a bunch of developers feedback and play tests, and we had a great time. So I really hope their game does well. So for whatever reason, we were stuck at the letter R. When we were going through player 2. So the question is, A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S. Do we have S, the letter, this game? Off. We have S, the letter. Yep. Alright, we do have S, the letter. Now, do we have S, the animation? ST animation is registering as R. Again, another cool thing about game development is like this simple problem solving. Oh, I need to beat the position. Take it. Our first frame. Set the position. Oh, this is on N. What the hell am I doing? Wait. Set position, first keyframe. Play. Sorry, position. 4. Keep that. Wait. Now it's on N. I got this story that would love to make called The Forest Serves. I think I spent 5 or so hours writing. That's a interesting thing with game development is that sometimes, and I know this from personal experience, you may have a completely different experience from me, but I've had it where I've really loved, and I have a couple. Wondering if I can show it without embarrassing myself. So give me a second. But I have a couple of game stories that I wrote. But then when I went into the actual game mechanics of it, I was like, well, how do I make this fun? And the only way to make it fun was essentially a graphic novel where you were just going through the story linearly and clicking. But so that's the only bit of feedback I would offer is like, make sure that you have like the gameplay loop in mind when you're thinking about a game. But the fact that you were writing for 5 hours straight, I think is a good sign, and that shows that you really liked the idea. Try to show these. Here's a couple different game ideas, just general game ideas I have. Write them down, put them in. A couple different stories. Oh wait, no, this is a different type of stories. Again, a couple different stories following the once upon a time and every till then until one day, and because X happened, day X until finally, and ever since then, and I just followed that for a couple different stories, 28 pages of stories. But yeah, I found out that a lot of these I couldn't translate into actual games very well. But that, again, that's my experience. Same thing for God, rough design, where I had it really fleshed out as far as the story, but then when it came to the gameplay elements, I didn't really have it. This happened to me a couple times. That's why I'm warning you. I'm showing this for the sake of being like, I thought this, but then when I tried it, it didn't work out. But it may work out for you because you have a better, game design than me. But yeah, in my experience with these game ideas versus stories are different. Oh, and Noel, what a surprise! Wow, did not expect you at all. How are you doing? How's where you're the country you're in? If you're still in that country. I don't know. But good to see you. Good to hear from you. No, I knew it was Spain. I just didn't want to dox you, if you will. I remember it was Spain. Um, but yeah, it was good there. Awesome. Uh, my gameplay loop was during the day you interact with a shopkeeper and work at a national park. Also Wald, the fisherman slash Greg, shady vendor, convict, Deanna, the park ranger, and hi. I think you could use I don't know. And ultimately, you're the developer, so whatever it tickles your fancy. But this sounds like you could use the model of the supermarket store that we were talking about earlier that sold really well for this. Because then this covers the shopkeeper angle, and then I know you're able to walk out of the store as well. And then there's people, so maybe this could be the other Oswald or whatever. And again, look at these basic assets as far as the money goes, the people, very basic. You don't need anything crazy. I mean, the texture of that actually looks really good. But anyway, but yeah. Yeah. Again, game ideas and writing are worth something, but I've personally found that, and it truly broke my heart to be like, damn, man, I really love this idea. And case in point, I still have it. I think I closed it out. Yeah, I closed it out. I still have it in my Google Docs, but I love because I love it so much. But then the game design never came to fruition where I was like, this isn't fun, and I want to execute on the story because I love this story, but it's not fun. And then during the night, you go and go to the fire watchtower and keep an eye out for strange activities. This also reminds me of another game. I can't think of it, but it could be an interesting gameplay loop. Again, you just need to get the demo out there. Same with Supermarket Simulator, which again did amazingly well. February 20th to have that many reviews and everything in basically a month is incredible. But they had their demo. Supermarket, what was it? Chapter 1 or whatever the fuck it was called. Supermarket Together. I think that's a different developer. Hold on. Supermarket Simulator Prologue. So yeah, you already have the story written up. You create the gameplay loop and then offer it for free to see if there's interest and people like it, as this person did. You get the reviews and everything like that, and then go from there. Oh, and they even post their projects on YouTube too. I mean, not many videos at all, but they're doing incredibly well. Which also speaks to it, because it looks like they had like no marketing, and yet this game did well. Crazy. I wonder if this was big on like, well, no, they don't even have Twitter on here. I mean, I'm sure they probably have a good Discord community, but crazy as far as advertisement goes, that this did so well with barely anything. But yeah, I like your idea. I mean, I love spooky, creepy. What is it called? Like H.P. Lovecraftian weirdness. So yeah, yeah. I mean, YouTube and a website. And their website is just their Steam page. Wow. How they got the word out for this, I want to know, because like the graphics and everything don't look that impressive, but the game did so well. Like I'm jealous of how well it did. I mean, I have no right to be jealous because I ultimately have not released anything on stream. But where was it? Yeah, I don't remember where the headline was, but it was like 200 million in sales or some shit like that. Or could I just do Steam DB? I would send the full story, but Twitch has a yeah, send it to me on oh my god, Discord. I have you on Discord now, or I think I sent the notification on Discord. Um, I could have sworn it was this. Am I wrong? Oh, db.info. Made in Unity. Wow. Peak concurrent player count of 51,000 people playing this game. Wow. People playing right now, 3,726. Wow. And this is just not a game I would think that would do so well, but it's doing so well. Incredible. Really inspiring. Funny story with my world. I actually ran into another indie game dev in Spain. That's awesome. Also works in Godot. Most of the sim games are made in Unity. It's just an easy engine to dev in. Yeah, for sure. But that's so cool. That's so cool. What else happened in Spain? While we're at it, that's so cool. Like, where did you meet this developer? Were you just like, I don't know, out dancing somewhere, and then they came about? I should say. Incredible, man. 119 people just watching people play this game right now. Incredible. Incredible. All right, I'm gonna stop geeking over this game. Um, oh yeah, interesting food. Another great question. Good food and drinks. So ask me what. I have a little idea what most of it was. How did you order the food? How did you order the food? How did you go about that if you didn't know what it like? Do you speak Spanish? Pardon my slobber here. You're also a super intelligent guy, so I would believe you're like, yeah, I'm trilingual. Yeah, that tracks. I believe it. The city of H. Yes. Two words. Those should. Um. Most of the meals were provided. Kudos to you, big baller, in your big boy position. Yeah, they took care of that. All social events, and no, I'm bad at languages. Interesting. I would not have figured that given your intelligence. But I mean, different types of intelligences, so that also makes sense. I barely manage English. um, the whole time I was there, I ordered food for myself like twice. Breakfast was a free buffet provided by the hotel slash event. Okay, well, cool. Sounds like a really good event. Um, Sounds like a fun time. Was it just like a company retreat, or were you actually doing work down there in Spain? Oh no, I think you said you were doing something with. I don't want to say their server rooms, but it was something like that you were doing. It sucks that you don't remember what the food was. IT summit for the company. Okay, cool. Well, very cool. Very cool. Um, I've never had to travel for my job ever. Um, when I worked in HR, I traveled for a conference, but that was it. Was about 200 of us. 200 is pretty big. 200 is pretty big. To fly out 200 people to Spain is crazy. Not like crazy bad. Like this, it speaks on how well the company's doing that they could fly out 200 people to Spain for the summit, and then also pay for all their meals and everything like that. That's awesome. Really cool opportunity. I'm real happy for you, truly. That's so awesome. And I'm also happy you're home. I didn't know you were home yet. I thought you were gonna be home on the 7th. I don't know why I had that in my head. They're based in EU. I say only about half of them had to travel super far for it. Okay. Still, that's 100 people. you know? As somebody that is still procrastinating on buying the tickets for Dragon Con because of the cost, it is truly procrastinating. I should just do it. But yeah, I didn't. 100 people paying to go to Spain is awesome. Did you learn anything cool, or was it just like a really cool experience overall? I feel like when people talk about like those type of events, they rarely learn anything. It's just like you go because the company told you to, but you don't get much out of it. Yeah, my flight was 3.4K alone. Jesus, wow. Uh, Others I know in the U.S. cost more than four. So let's go with the conservative estimate or times. Oh, I was about to do 4 times 100. So, so what's that? $40,000 dollars just on travel. About 40,000. Let's say a standard deviation of like 20%. 20% of 40,000. 20% is not 0, it's 2. At least $32,000 just on travel alone, not even talking about the meals and everything. Kudos to whatever company you're working for. Doing well. Doing well. I literally recently got a message from my consulting company that was like, hey, we messed up on your bonuses, so the IRS is gonna come for you guys. And I was like, what? It was like, yeah, we shouldn't have given you as much as we did. So the IRS is probably gonna ask for more money. And I was like, that's great. I love to hear that the company I work for messed up my bonus, so I have to pay the company more money. I love to hear that. That's my favorite. It's always fun when it's not your fault, but you still have to pay for it. It looks so weird without the shader. I now I don't even recognize the game without the shader. I have to. Y and Z don't change. Stops at X. Y. Lots of company info. Meet people I hadn't met before. Plans were made in some parts. Got to actually see the local servers there, which is good because I'll have to upgrade them over the next year. Likely fly back out for that. Okay, well, cool. I mean, again, it overall sounds really cool to be with you know, I just love being around other fellow geeky people, and that's a whole conference about that. And then on top of it, for it to have a practical element of like, oh, cool. Now I have an understanding of the servers here. I know I'm gonna have to come back here to upgrade this, and now I'm looking at these servers. I think we should account for this for load balancing or whatever. And spend some time wandering around the city. That's awesome. That's so awesome, especially since it was a solo trip. I love that for you. Um, Even had some big social thing where they took us out on the area bus. So some geolocation based games. Awesome. Wow, that's so cool. We were broken into teams of 10 people randomly, run around the city with iPads. My team didn't win. That sounds like such an adventure though. Like especially as you get older, that you don't get many, or at least I haven't had many yet, adventures like that. Yet. I hope to have adventures like that and more in the future. But that's so cool to have, that type of adventure later in life. You know? That's so cool. I've never even named the national park in my story. Any ideas? The park is set in. I'm not good with naming stuff, to be honest with you. Um, what I've often done is, I don't know if it's still up. I don't remember what it was. I had a bookmark for the longest time, but essentially, it would just take a fantasy place from Dungeons and Dragons. I'd take that name and then like modify it for whatever it it fit for my story. So it would be like Alaskan Duvar, and like just slap those two things together. I suck at that type of stuff. Um, Names I'm not good with at all. I'll leave name characters nameless for the longest time. Of like being like Big Nose and Promiscuous Girl and Doug number 2. Like I'll straight up have that in. It probably was up when I was showing you guys a bit of stories I wrote, but like that's literally what I'll do for the longest time, or just repeat a name over and over again. I'm not good with that type of stuff. Walk so much. I clocked about 6 miles that day. Wow. Well, again, fun, adventure. At least it wasn't like 6 miles of you being lost and frustrated. You had the iPad. It was that. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that for you. Did they test this already? No, I don't even remember what the problem was. It stops at X. For some reason, it stops at X. No Y. Then when we get to Z, for some reason, it goes into this one. So it has to mean that the letter counter is not 13. The letter counter is going to be off for some reason. Let's first pull up that and see what the counter is. And I know I'm still debugging via print statements. I'll work it out of this new way when we actually get to have a sit down session one of these days. I was totally lost, but there were others in the team who were local to the area and knew exactly. Oh, that's a great point. I didn't even think about you not knowing a lick of the language and wandering around the city. That game ended with us at a place they had rented out for the night. Stayed there drinking until midnight. Awesome, dude! It's such an adventure. I love this. Best part is that I paid for nothing. That's amazing. That's awesome. That's so cool, man. That's such a cool adventure. On the company's dime to have. That's so cool. That's so cool. That's awesome. Man, that's awesome. Like such a great time. The only thing I paid for was some gifts for the wife and the like. Yeah, well, I mean, you gotta bring home wifey something, so that's great. I was literally just thinking, like, from a young boy, if you will. I'm almost 30, but just from a guy's perspective of like, oh, it's also great that you didn't have the social or sexual pressure of like, let me look cool in front of these women or be charming in front of these women, because you're like, I got a wife at home. I can just have fun and I don't have to be focused on the opposite sex in any way, shape, or form. I can just truly enjoy being in Spain and going on these adventures. That's awesome. Because I'm thinking about this from my perspective, and like part of me would be like, am I gonna hook up with somebody here? Like, who do I want to hook up with? Who do I care about? Who do I like? Like, none of that cognitive load or binaries of programs need to run in your head. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna get some stuff for my wife and I'm gonna have a great time. That's it. Like, so simple. like the values are updating right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so X updated right. Okay, so it's not the value's fault. Something with this is not updating, but it's not based off of the letter counter. Update letter 2, can't be that part. This part. Let's see. In the letter 2 folder, do we have all of the letters? X, Y, Z. Yep, they are all there. So why don't we continue to go down the letter counter is fine. There was a fair level of eye candy around the city. It's Spain. What the fuck? Yeah, of course. What? You think women are going to be ugly in Spain? No. Where they produce like 80% of attractive women. I won't say that. They produce a large amount of attractive women. I mean, there's so many attractive women in the world to say like that one. But yeah, of course, there would be beautiful women in Spain. That makes total sense. But that is true anywhere you go with lots of people. Very true. Yeah, right? You go to any city, even the city I'm in. Like if I'm going to the coffee shop, I'm like, they're just beautiful people. They're just beautiful people. Like I was at the coffee shop the other day just reading a book, and it was just like, why does this woman look like a straight up model? Like just an absolutely gorgeous woman, just living her everyday life. And I was like, wow. And then I get that super conscious thing of like, don't stare at a woman. Like, go back to reading your book. But yeah, I mean, again, that makes sense for Spain, especially. Oh, the language, the women, incredible. That's Italian, but yeah. Yeah. Again, that would have taken up too much of my focus on that trip. I know for a fact. That's also, again, a part of why I look forward to not being single again. So I just don't have to think about that. Right? Because everybody, not everybody's an option, but like, options are open. So it's like, that's on my mind, knowingly. But if it's based on the letter counter and we just tested the letter counter, 0, well, it stops at X, but the value continues to update. The value continues to. I love to hear your story of Spain. I think it's very easy, especially of my generation, to become jaded as you age. But to hear, you're still having adventures and cool experiences is such a good, like, hopeful thing. I'm like, that's awesome, man. And Noel's a bit older and having awesome adventures in Spain and getting drunk with coworkers at midnight and having a great time on the company's dime. Got flown out there, like that's awesome. Really cool, inspiring story. Good times were had. It's funny you talk about trying to hook up. There was a guy in our group who is semi newly divorced, and he was so bad about eye humping every woman. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That can happen. That can happen, especially being when I separated from my ex. I remember being I was probably as bad as that guy because you just like, oh, every woman's an option, and it's like, no, you are like this attractive. I'm talking about myself. Like you're like this attractive, meaning your options are this many girls or this many women, and also you've been in a relationship for so long, you're probably not charming. You don't remember how to be charming or flirt or anything like that. So I sympathize for the guy because I know I've been there. I know I've been um, like staring at women more than I should have been, but that comes with maturity. Um, he was newly divorced, so gotta give him some grace. But yeah, that's a thing. I really think that men in particular should have a support group when they recently go through a divorce because you are functionally insane. When I look back at when I had recently separated from my ex, an insane person who is hooking up with people when they absolutely should not. Absolutely should not. Yeah, again, I have sympathy for the guy. I remember being like that. Being so bad at it is also hilarious because, like, dude, chill the fuck out. Don't stare at her like that. She's gonna call the cops, man. Like, chill out. What am I missing? If that's running the same. Oh, I have less or greater than or equal to? What if I just remove that? Could it be that simple? Could it be that simple? I'm like, if it works for player 1, why does it work for player 2? There we go. The letter's not updating. The animation is updating correctly. The animation is updating correctly, but the game over state isn't hitting correctly. And the last letters not being updated correctly. What was the second thing? Yeah, I don't have a ton of experience on the subject. Right, you met your wife super young, so you and finding love and support so early in life. How dare you? Being on the same page with not having children. How dare you? But I've never managed to hook up when I was trying so damn hard to do so. That's the kicker. That's the kicker as well. Most of the times where I've hooked up with a woman or a woman has shown a lot of interest in me, it is never when I'm trying. Every single time I really don't try, like I literally don't give a shit, that's when they'll be like, hey, let's hook up. That's when I'll get axed out. It boggles my mind. But I've just came to the realization that I suck at flirting. I just need to just act like I'm not going to be able to hook up with this woman. And 9 times out of 10, that's when she's interested. I don't know what the math of that is. But you hit it right in my soul. The moment I read that, I was like, yep. Every time I've tried hard, it never worked. Always seemed to happen when I didn't. Oh, literally, I could have read the rest. Exactly that. Always happened when I didn't care at all. Exactly that. And then maybe there's something about it. Maybe women like subconsciously, or maybe we produce a pheromone when you're trying. That's like I'm desperate, and women are not attracted to that. But when you don't give a fuck, literally. I went to my buddy's. My buddy had a birthday for his friend who happened to be a female, and then I was just like, "Oh, I'll buy you guys drinks or gals drinks, just because it just seemed like a nice thing to do." And then we're just talking and whatever, and then I realized, oh, midway through, oh, she's flirting with me, and it's like so weird because it's always when you don't try. Like, what's the math of that? I need to understand. I'm sure there's some YouTube person that put out exactly why that is, but I would love to get a female's opinion on exactly why when you don't try at all, it works perfectly. I don't know what that is, but yeah, that whole paragraph, I could have tattooed on my soul. Like I would have been benefited greatly my high school and newly separated period by just listening to that. The harder you try, the less likely you are to get a female's attention. That's just my personal experience. Maybe it also has to do with the level of attractiveness you are. Maybe I'm not attractive enough to do it. I don't know. I don't know the math of it, nor do I care. I've seen and read some things online and talked about insulting hot girls as working. Yeah, negging. I've never seen negging work in person. I've only heard about it on TV. Honestly, I'm not willing to go that far, nor should you be. But the idea that makes you stand out to them versus everyone else. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe it's that. Imagine indie game marketing like works like that. Of like, oh, I'm not gonna really try. I'm not gonna try to stand out like everybody else. But yeah, I would never insult a woman. I'm not gonna do that. Ever. It just doesn't sit right with my soul. But yeah, that makes sense. I guess just hanging out. Yeah. I guess the next time I try to at Dragon Con, I'm not gonna try to hook up with anybody. I'm just gonna try to hang out and be cool with everybody. And then watch me tell you about like 5 women that I hooked up with because I was just hanging out like a normal person. Who knows? I still need to buy the plane tickets. I've been real bad with that. No, I try my best not to insult anyone ever. Not in me. Yeah, it's just, yeah. I mean, which is kudos to you because I've worked with higher ups in IT and they are rude. I've never worked with like a higher up engineer or technician or anything like that. Anybody higher up in IT has always been rude, rude, talked badly about everybody like behind their backs. Like I've just had super bad experiences with higher ups in IT. So kudos to you for not having that mindset. Yeah, those of us in IT are bad at looking down at everyone. Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah, yeah. It's it was so weird to me because I thought like it was an engineer that I was like trying to just work through a problem with of some data that is taken in by there was data taken in by email that's ingested into an application, and then the application segments the important bits of data and then removes everything else. And I was just trying to understand what was going on, and then I was just asking questions, and it was this particular engineer was like, "I'm aware. I've been doing this for 10 years, so you don't have to talk to me like I'm an idiot." And I was like, "Whoa, dude! No, I was just trying to understand. I mean, no offense by it." He was like, "Okay, well, stop wasting my time." And I was like, "Well, fuck me, Jesus." Like, and then another one. We were working on this project for 4 years, I think. We were working on this project for 4 years. Essentially, it created an HR system to be able to onboard and offboard consultants. And we worked on this system for years. And then randomly, this super high up, I want to say he's the CTO of the parent company that we work for, he came into one of our meetings and was like, everybody's wasting time, nobody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I'm closing down this project. And I was like, wait, with all due respect, here are all our metrics. Here's all of the Jira stories that we closed out. Here's what we've been working on. Here's what we're planning for the next year. He was like, I don't give a shit. You guys don't do anything, and I'm fucking tired of paying you guys to do nothing. And then just left the meeting. And I was like, wow, just every single higher up in IT is an asshole. And I don't know why. I just want to understand. Everyone else seems to always do stupid things. Do stupid things with computers, so it feels like everyone is just stupid. Which I get. I mean, I work with business users all the time. So, but I don't treat them like they're fucking stupid. I treat them like you're ignorant. You literally don't know, and I don't hate you for not knowing. It can be frustrating, absolutely. Especially when I said, "Did you make sure that this was on?" And you didn't. You were like, "Yes, it is," but I see that it's not on. So I get that frustration, but I don't fucking talk down on somebody because they don't know shit. Um, I've spent many years working with people outside of IT. Most people have things that they know way more than I do. Exactly, and that's my approach. Like, especially with I work for a consulting firm working with different companies. I always approach it like I don't know anything. All I know is the technical side. You know how to you use this tool. You know how these types of errors are replicated. Like I really approach it like I don't know shit, and I dread the day that I become like one of these higher ups that talk shit on QA and software engineers. Like I hated interacting. Still to this day, I will I will talk to anybody else before I talk to them because they're just rude every single time. I hate talking to them. I feel like I got some teachers like that. Yeah, I mean, there are people that like reach a certain level of knowledge and then they start to treat people that know less than them like shit when it's like you dude, you climbed your way up to this level of knowledge and now that you're at this point you want to talk shit on everybody beneath you. Like I don't get that. Even if it's like, dude, no, you just do this. Like, well then teach me. Don't be an asshole about it. Like no one wants to do a bad job. Fuckface. Like what the fuck? Um, just because they don't know shit about computers doesn't mean they don't know anything about every. Exactly. Like I wish I could send that email out to. I literally am working so hard not to say their names, but like there's three engineers in particular. One's the CTO, um, another is just a head engineer, and then another one is a network engineer. And every time I talk to them, they're just such assholes because they know more about their specific subject. And it's like, but if you would listen to me, I think we would both benefit and learn from this experience. But fuck me for bringing it up. I should say had teachers like that. Okay. They had, like you had them like a previous year of your schooling, or had as in they, died. And now you don't got them anymore. They all got fired. Oh, wow. I have never in the history of my life heard of a bad teacher getting fired. Ever. Well, what? Did they all fuck their students? Like, how did they all get fired? That's crazy. Every single one of them being fired is crazy. Like I don't know shit about cars. I suck with languages. Yet most everyone around me speaks at least two. Same. I really wish I knew Spanish at least. I should know my native tongue, but I don't know. I don't have any Haitian people to talk to, so there's that. Um, I totally lack social. I totally lack social skills and can't manage people at all. Same. In the end, it's rare for me to find someone I feel like I'm better than them on everything. Yeah, I mean, if I feel that way, it's typically a child, and I don't think even then, like even my kid who's 3 4 years old, they I'm better at the world than them, but they're better at finding joy, finding enjoyment, noticing things, learning new things. Like they're just I don't know. I never have the mentality that I'm better than anybody. I don't know why that happens in IT. Again, I've worked with many higher ups that are like that. They're just absolute assholes and so arrogant about everything. Um, and I've just never felt like I'm not better than anybody. Like literally anybody. I remember my mom pulled me aside to have a conversation with me because she was like, you work really hard and you stress out a lot and you want to do this and you want to do that. And it's like, you're making more money than I did when I had you and your sister. And I was like, yeah, so what? Like, like it's good to be doing better, but I never think like, oh, because I'm at this point, I deserve a certain level of treatment or I can relax or anything like that. Like the ultimate goal is to be all you can be, and I'm so far from all I can be. One of the teachers threw some things around like a ruler at a student crazy because they were being a bit rude, crazy, and the year what and half the year was tough by substitute teacher. Yeah, that's pretty clear cut. Don't throw thing. Then again, I was um I was in school in the '90s, so I had a teacher called me the N word once, and I also had a teacher put hands on me, like shake me. But this was the '90s, '90s, early 2000s, so the world was different. Um, the world was different. Case in point, when I told my parents about this, they both were essentially like, "Don't bother that teacher." It wasn't like, "Fuck them," like let's call them it. No, it was just like, "Don't bother them," because I was like the only black kid in the entire school. Eventually, that changed. By the time I hit middle school and high school, there were more kids in. But during the first beginning years, some old white teachers hated seeing me in their classroom. Hated it. They were like, "What the fuck is this black kid doing in my classroom when there's all these good white kids?" Like they hated it. And then I hit middle school, and then a bunch of black and Spanish people came, and then I hit high school, and then like all racism disappeared because it was like such a good mix. But wow, oh damn, yeah, yeah, that happens. It happens. But uh, um, that was the worst teacher. But the rest of them seemed to talk down to students. Yeah, and again, I just don't get that behavior. I don't know, man. I think you have to be pretty insecure about something in your life to put somebody down. Like every person that's racist is insecure, right? Like that's to think that you are better because of your race is a crazy insecurity. Like that's crazy. Or think that you're better because I worked my way up to this point and I know better. Like, dude, chill out, right? Chill the fuck out. I remember one engineer who was talking mad shit during one meeting. I mean, spent like 10 minutes berating my team at the time, who then a week or two later got fired because of him. I mean, I kept my job, but most of my team that worked under me fired. He spent like 15 minutes talking shit. And then I remember seeing him on camera, and I was like, dude, you're a fat piece of shit. Like, a fat piece of shit in the fact that you're treating people like shit, and you're unbelievably obese. Like, you're super Eric Cartman level, like, like that type of dude. And I don't make those judgments lightly, but I say that to say, like, he's having this super arrogant attitude, but if I asked you to run for your life right now, you die in the first 3 seconds. I know I can run faster than you. I can bench more than you. Like I'm more physically attractive than you, but I don't treat you like shit because of your weight. Like your weight never mattered to me. How you treat people matters, and you treat people like shit. Like so. But I think again, that stemmed from the insecurity of like being overweight. Big back, big ego. literally, literally, it was that. Yeah. And I think it was just because he was overweight and felt super insecure. But he knew in his job, I can push, not meaning to put a pun on it, but he could push his weight around at the job because nobody can really question him. He's at such a high level that he can yell at my entire team, get my entire team fired. And that's presumptuous. I don't know for a fact that's why my team was fired, but it was a week after that conversation of him yelling at my entire team for half an hour where we just have to sit there and take it because it's like, you're a higher up. You could get us all fired if you really wanted to. And I guess he did, except for me. But yeah. Yeah. And all of that to say, there's no reason to treat people that are quote unquote beneath you poorly. Right? Every hero in every anime or video game or basically any hero lifts people up. Never ever puts people down. Ever. Even enemies, they won't like berate them and call them a piece of shit or whatever. They may be like, "I'll never forgive you," or like, "Damn it," or "Damn you," but they're never like talking shit and putting somebody down because they're at a certain station of their life. No hero in the history of ever has done that. No protagonist in the history of ever, good protagonist, has done that. So to see it in IT is crazy. But I'm happy that you and Noel work with great people. Um, I do that, and I'm also grateful that you, a username that's good, are going in school during a time where it's not casual for a teacher to, you know, I don't know what your race is, but call you the N word and then just like go on with the rest of your day. Terrible me. This is there. What's so also funny to me is that like I'll tell people that story of like a teacher calling me the N word and just like putting hands on me and shaking me and things like that. And like to me in the '90s, like if I talk to fellow black kids, it's like yeah, that's how it was. But then I talk to a kid nowadays and they'll be like, what? What the fuck? I punch him in the face, blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, if you go to a white institution, no, you're not. Because you know it's a big deal for you to be in this school in the first place. You're going to keep your mouth shut and keep it pushing because you can't do shit. You know there's no support system. So, again, I'm glad that times are different. That's wow worthy. Whereas, like, again, if I talk to my friends growing up, it would be like, yeah, no shit. Okay. So, yeah, that's updating. Yep. Okay. So we stop at Y. Stop at Y. We also, during football and track, we also went against a notoriously racist school who would always say racist things to us. Shout out Lee Heighton, you piece of shit community with your piece of shit school and piece of shit teachers. Fuck you, Lee Heighton. Piece of shits. Horrible pieces of garbage. Fuck you, Lee Heighton. You're all pieces of garbage, and most of you should die. I'll say from back in the day. Maybe Lee Heighton's better now. Maybe Lee Heighton's better now. I highly doubt it. School was crazy racist, throwing rocks at us. Crazy racist. Current letter is registering the right one. It's just not updating the correct letter once we get to X. Why would that be? Why does that make sense? I stun chat with my racist stories. Not my racist stories. Racism happening to me, and I'm in the story. Clip that somewhere. I have to get better at doing the clip command. Where was I? Oh, wait. Okay, but why would these two be different? Oh, wait. Maybe the counter isn't 13? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12. Okay. Okay. But again, X is still not updating. It's still not updating. No, I get you. It sucks. Just not something I'm not really entitled to comment on. Fair enough. I'm kind of a crazy mix of races. That's the best way to be. It's a good mix. But you never know if you look at me. And 99% of the time, it's all how you look when it comes to race judgments. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Like I was really it's sad, but again, I grew up with in a racist part of Pennsylvania. When I had my daughter, I was like, oh, I'm so happy she's more light skinned than dark skinned. That shouldn't matter. It shouldn't, right? But the world will treat her differently if she was darker. Fact, just fact. Like it's just the way it is. But yeah, that's just. I think and I think that, and I hope that my generation is the last generation that really, uh, yeah, they will be treated, and it does suck. Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping that my generation is the last generation to experience hardcore racism. Um, like I'm hoping my daughter will never be called the N word or shaken by a teacher or have rocks thrown at her. I'm hoping all of that is just. I'm hoping my generation was the last to feel that, but we'll see. I don't know. Treat her differently. That it is. Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. They will. But again, she came out and she was like way more light skinned. Like she could pass for Spanish or a mix of like white and Spanish. She very well could. And I was happy by that, but that sucks that I'm happy about that because it shouldn't matter, but it does. Fact, it's a fact. Um, that's the way it is. Um, it gets better when we get better. But yeah. Luckily, I have not experienced any racism at work, just arrogance. So that's a benefit. That is a huge benefit. It also benefits that I don't think anyone in my work really knows my race. Because I don't put on cameras. Who does when you work at an IT? Unless you have to. You're told you have to. We confirmed the counter works. I guess we'll try that again. P2 counter. But again, all that to say, I do think that things are different now, and that is ultimately going to be better for all the other kids now. A username that's good. You guys have different set of issues with like social media and being able to, I guess, measure somebody's popularity as well with followers and things like that. Like it's a completely different set of problems. But I'm hoping none of it revolves around race at this point. Seems antiquated. At least for my school, it's very different. Well, great. I love to hear that. Again, I'd love to be the last generation that happened to. It would make being called that and having rocks thrown at me and all that type of stuff worth it. Fuck you, Lee Heighton. But yeah. There we go. I think we're good. Wait, that was Y. I think that was Y was the last letter I put. It was Y last. Back to third. My only things come close to being judged for how I act. I didn't act normal as such. Other kids, teachers, parents, and other kids, but it isn't the same as being judged because simply the color of your skin. This is why I say I don't really have the right to overly comment on it. No, it makes total sense. I respect your discretion 100%. It's great to be a mix of ultimate things, right? That's the ultimate end state of human beings, is that we're all mixed to a point where race is uh uh like a non-topic, close enough to white to not be judged. And again, great position. I love that my daughter is probably not going to be associated with black. I hate saying that out loud, but it's going to benefit her more than likely. But what are the woes of your generation? A username that's good. I'm curious to know. Again, I dealt with like racism and things like that, and of course, as and Noel pointed out, like being judged on how you act, especially being most of us neurodivergent to some extent, and most of us undiagnosed for many years, which is fine, I guess. I guess you don't have to. It doesn't have to be diagnosed, but yeah. I'm curious what the woes of this generation are as far as things, because you have to have problems. Every generation has problems, just a different set of problems than racism and things like that. Oh wait, shit. Y Z. Okay. Alright, so I fixed that, but then it didn't go to the appropriate state. So this does need to go in as Z. So let me just quickly test this again. Whoops. No. B W X I. The number needs to be increased by 1. That classic off by 1 error. But then when I increase by 1, then I get a different type of error. That's always fun. I have to check that out. That is. Only thing that comes to mind is kids in my age watching zesty videos during class. Is that pornography? Is that what zesty means? I don't know what zesty means. Pornography during class is insane. You have an addiction to pornography, and you need. Yep, it is. Okay, yeah, that's crazy. That's insane. Don't you want to hook up with the women or girls? I guess, yeah, because you're children. Girls in your school, and you're watching porn. That's fucking crazy. Cool. Anyway, I'm judging too harshly. They're kids. But weird behavior. I'll tell you what. Or getting other kids high on weed, but that's pretty generational. Yeah. Drugs are always a thing in every generation. I didn't mention that part. There was a place where a lot of kids lived at. It's like a part of the neighborhood called Pine Ridge, and it was renamed to Drug Ridge by us kids. Basically, all of them were renamed to some type of drug because basically everybody was doing drugs and everybody had a drug dealer in every single neighborhood, and some people sold hard shit and some people just sold weed. But yeah, especially in where I lived in the Pennsylvania, everybody did drugs. It wasn't a matter of if you did drugs, it was a matter of what drugs you did. Because it was like, yeah, no shit. Obviously you do drugs, but which type? How hardcore are you? I did end up in LD classes when I was in public school. Lots of issues learning some topics. Same for me. Language being a major one. Yeah, English was not my strong suit. I loved reading and I loved the English. or reading class in English class, but I sucked at it. So much so that again I was pulled into a different like class to like tutor me up to a certain level where I could like fit in with everybody else. Um, Others, I was far ahead of students. I'm guessing mathematics, as I was. Like, I was super, like, ridiculously. Mathematics was so easy to me, and everybody else struggled with it. But then everything else was harder for me. So it was like, I really get math, though. I get math and reading. Everything else I pretty much suck at. Um, Others, I saw far ahead of other students. Today, I'll be labeled ASD most likely. Wasn't really a thing then. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Same thing for me. I remember in college I was diagnosed with dyslexia, and I told my mom, and she was like, "That's made up," and I was like, "Oof, you work in a medical profession. That's not made up. It's a thing." She was like, "It is," and I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh, okay, I didn't know." And that makes sense. So again, all of this stuff is relatively new. Positive psychology started in what, like the 90s or 80s? Like anything good for your brain, anything good for you, or that acknowledged other people's a diverse view of humanity and the spectrum of reality was just not a thing. Just was not a thing. I was, born in the '90s. I'm of the generation that used gay as like as a normal everyday thing that you would be like to say stupid essentially. Oh, that's stupid. You would insert that's gay. Like that. That was of my generation, and it was perfectly fine until it wasn't. Which I have no qualms with. Again, it's just one of those things that you don't know until you know. I might have dyslexia, but I'm not sure. Whatever it is, the lower end of it, and that same way. Again, the only reason I found out was because in college, there, or at least in the college that I went to, there's this thing called a learning center, and in the learning center is where you would go to see tutors and things like that. So I was struggling in a particular class, so I went to the learning center, and while I was I was waiting for my tutor, and I saw a couple different on the far end of the wall. There was like these cubbies with like great. It was like labeled in like super crazy comic book font of like learning resources for you. And I was like, well, great. I'm behind. I'm waiting for my tutor. Maybe I can learn something while I'm here. And then it talked about uh, dyslexia, and it had you go through a test. And then it was like, if you score between here and here, you are likely dyslexic. Go see a professional about it. And then I scored at that level, and I was like, oh fuck. And then my tutor came, so it was for biology, so I just had to buckle down and then go through the stuff we were going over, extracting DNA from an almond, and how to go about that process. So I was trying to learn that, but in the back of my head, I was like, oh my god, I think I'm dyslexic. And then I went to a professional, and they were like, yep, mm-hmm. And then it wasn't until my separation with the mother of my child that I went to therapy, and then through therapy I was talking about like, these are the things that are wrong with me and I need to fix them. Like help me fix me. And then my therapist being like, okay, I hear you and I've been listening to you for a while and we've been working on these things for a while. Have you considered that you're autistic? And then it was like all of these different things that I just didn't know was a thing until, you know, it was brought to me, and then I do my research and I go see a professional, and it's like, oh, I have these different ways of being a human being that are completely fine and natural, but if you don't have a word for it, you just think like, there's something wrong with me when it comes to X, Y, and Z, and that's just it. There is no solving it. It's just like, I am wrong in these ways and I don't know what to do about it. Which is a really tough position to be in as a kid, to think about that, of like, just like, I'm bad at these things, I suck at this, I'm bad with emotional regulation. It's just like all of these things that you're bad at, but it's like all of these things could be telltale signs of dyslexia or autism or ADHD, but if you don't have a fucking way to put words to it, you're not going to be able to solve it. And the importance of putting words to it is to be like, you're not crazy, you're just different. You're wired differently. And because you're wired differently, you have to go about solving these problems in a different way. You're not like everybody else. Everybody else can just sit down and listen and do these things. Great. You're not like that. And that sucks. But you being able to do it a different way is interesting and unique and cool once you get the hang of it. So yeah. I missed a couple of your things. I might be this lower end of it. I was labeled with dyslexia when I was in second grade. Fucking amazing. That's great. Well, I don't know if that's great because there's a ... But I think that's good because again, just to know, hey, your brain is different in this way. It doesn't make you less than. To circle back to our earlier conversation, it doesn't make you less of a person. It's just that your brain works differently, and I think it's important that you know how your brain works so you can work with it. I extracted DNA from a strawberry once. Yeah, it was a super cool project. I loved doing that, and my favorite class in college was Essentials of Biology. It was my favorite class, and it was the class I did the worst in. But it's still my favorite because it was so much fun, and it was cool, and it was challenging. Um, and ironically, my class in college on programming, I hated because he was just a bad teacher. But conversely, my teacher for Essentials of Biology was amazing. So even though I sucked at the class, I loved it because it was taught in a really cool way, and what we did was super cool. Conversely, again in programming, horrible teacher, and the programming homework was horrible. It was like I remember one of them was like in C++, write a conditional loop that checks this list for this. But if you don't have, and that's the great thing about finding a programming project that you enjoy, whether that be web development, robotics, game development, whatever it is that you need a reason to solve a problem. If you don't have a reason to solve a problem, it's just homework. But if you have a reason to solve a problem, you're investing in a skill and a way of looking at the world that is going to affect you for the rest of your life. But that was just presented to me in C++, and I dropped programming. And then I didn't program for I graduated college, and then 2 years later I got into game development. So I took 3 years away from programming, but just because I had a horrible teacher. So yeah, you can learn really cool things. Sometimes it's just a teacher that sucks. Um, that's the rub. Sometimes you learn that until it's too late. Sometimes you think like, oh, like that's one thing I always say is like somebody will come to me and be like, oh, I suck at programming or I suck at math, and I'm like, no, you don't. You haven't met math. You haven't met programming. You've been introduced to it in this horrible, ugly way. But if I introduced it to you in this way, I guarantee you'd like it. My godson, I showed him a couple games that I made, pinned in the chat, I believe, and the first thing he said when he was playing the game was like, "Wow, I could never do anything like that," and it broke my heart because I was like, "Yes, you can. Why do you think you can't?" He was like, "Oh, I'm just not good at this type of stuff." And again, I flash back to me as a kid, and I'm like, it's not that you're not good at it. I think how it was presented to you was bad. If it was presented to you in a good, cool, interesting way, there's no fucking way you wouldn't be into programming. There's no way you wouldn't be into science. You for sure be into it. It's just it was presented to you in a problem way rather than a creative, solution-oriented way. That's the way to go about education, is through projects and showing somebody you can do these things and here's why you would do these things. Not just present them with a problem, but present them with an opportunity to do something, and then the challenges there are the learning blocks, and then you find out through the process of working on a project that you've learned how to do these things. You know? A username that's good. You were talking about it may be a while before you get there. Maybe it will. Maybe it will, right? It took me 3 months, so maybe it'll take you 9 months to finish your first game. Who knows? But the fact that you embark on the journey of discovery, of learning about yourself and learning about this new art form, and then consider programming and game development an art form, is everything. It is everything. And I'm so happy you're starting so young to learn this about yourself. Because then maybe, you know, a year or two into game development, you realize, like, I just really like doing the art and the writing, and I don't really like anything else. And it's like, great, that's great. You know, I learned that I liked programming and writing through this, and I do like design, and but my primary things is like writing and programming. I do love doing these things, even though, and Noel, you can speak to, I'm not the best at programming, but I still enjoy it, you know? And I think everybody should be presented with the opportunity to learn what they enjoy through a project, not by just solve this problem. Like, that's fucking a horrible way to go about education. Absolutely horrible. Do this thing because I told you to. Like, no, you need a reason to solve a problem. If you don't have a reason to solve a problem, it's just work. And then somebody will just, you know, put it into AI and see, like, Copilot, ChatGPT, solve this for me because I have no interest in this. You just presented me with a problem, but I have no stake in the problem. It's not my problem. It's a problem you presented to me that I have to solve in order to get a grade. Versus, I know you want to do web development. Let's create the front end of a website. What do you need for that? And then encountering those roadblocks, and then discovering things throughout that process of like, oh, okay, this is how I would display this on the front end. This is how I would accept input. Okay, well, when I accept input, how do I store that data to be able to retrieve for later? Okay, once I retrieve that data, is there a way to make that more secure or encrypted? Like, it's a discovery process, but you only discover through projects. I don't think you discovered via task 1, task 2, task 3, test 1, test 2, like, that's useless. Even this little project for my kid, I've learned so much. Right? Like, and Noel, this was Noel's idea, was to have just the solitary keyboard. We originally had 2 keyboards. Stupid. Now we have 1 keyboard, perfectly concise. We have this animation playing that dictates what letter should be pressed, right? That was a good bit of feedback from my kid. Like, you learn so much. So we're still stuck at X. After X, it doesn't update. Why doesn't it update? Oh my god, it's also 11:24, and I did not realize. Why does it not update? No problem, and no, totally understandable. I'm just so happy that you were able to join. Like, I did not expect that at all. I'm so happy you're back in the States as well. Have to be IT. Oh yeah. I got one of those on Wednesday, so so totally understandable. Yeah. But again, and no, I'm so happy you were able to come in. I did not expect that at all. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'll be back tomorrow if you're able to stop by. I greatly appreciate it if you are. And yeah, you're great. As always, thank you for helping me out and working with me. And same for you, a username that's good. I really appreciate you being here and helping me out, and also giving me the perspective of, you know, what's going on, if you will, with your generation, how you guys are seeing and doing this stuff. It's really cool to hear about. So I should be able to. Okay, great, awesome. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for sure. Tomorrow we're gonna work on Project Kill Toy, which is gonna be really fun and exciting. I really hope to get the rigid body down. Once I get that down, it's gonna be really, really cool. And then I'm hoping to have this presented to this game dev group that I go to for a grant. But I will talk more about that tomorrow. Guys, have a great night. We're gonna check out Polymars.